Hello, people in my phone. This is the recap of the 2021 movie Girl in the Basement. Don and his wife, Renee, are the parents of two daughters, Amy, the eldest, and Sara, the younger sister. One night, they are having a family dinner. Sara gets up to leave. Don asks her where she's going. She tells him she is going to a bonfire party that she had told her mother about weeks ago. Don refuses to let her leave and demands her to go to her room. Sara sneaks out from her room's window and goes to the party with her boyfriend Chris, who is a motorcycle dude. At the party, Sara and Chris dance. Chris sings her a song that he had written for her, and they make out and spend the whole night together. Later, her parents go to her room and find out that Sara snuck out. Next morning, Sara comes home to find Don waiting for her outside. Don is pissed and screams at her, telling her that as long as she lives in his house, she must follow his rules, and grounds her for a week. In Sara's bedroom, Sara tells Amy and Renee about her future plans, which are moving away as soon as she turns 18, starting from Florida, where she will be working as a waitress, and then work her way across all USA states and then travel the whole world. Poor girl, we all know that all of that ain't gonna happen. Don overhears them though, and immediately heads to the basement as he starts thinking about what he's gonna do with her. Don spends the next few months preparing the bomb shelter in the basement, originally built by the house's previous owner during the time Austria was under Nazi control, as he plans to lock Sara inside so she can't leave. One day, Renee goes out shopping. Don waits till she leaves and asks Sara to help him move some stuff in the basement. Sara does as he tells her, but once they enter the shelter, Don locks her up as she screams for help, but the room is soundproof. Sara is now locked up in an empty room with no way out. She opens the box that he asked for her help to move and finds some clothes, food cans, and a flashlight. She uses pots to piss in, and the keypad has only 3 tries before shutting down the electricity and air circulation. Don comes back 2 days later. He tells her that she is being punished for her behavior and that she must earn her privileges. Then he assaults and rapes her. Renee is so worried about her, she calls the cops. The police think Sara ran away, but Renee just doesn't believe that. Still, the police can't do much because she's 18. 7 days later, Sara tries to take every opportunity to scream for help and fight to be freed. Bruised and battered, Sara thinks of Chris and the song he made for her, as her only escape is through her mind. That day, Chris shows up at the house to ask about Sara. Don tells him that she ran away to Florida with a guy named Steve right after her graduation. 21 days later, Don visits Sara, bringing her a cake for her 18th birthday and a red dress. He forces her to blow out the candle and wear the red dress for him, and asks her to pick anything she wants, because now she has earned it. Sara asks to be released, but Don refuses, so she asks for a clock instead. He agrees to the clock and forces her to come closer, probably to get raped again. Fast forward to 354 days later. Sara is now pregnant from all the time Don had raped her. As she's sweeping the floor, her water breaks. She delivers her baby with no proper medical assistance, only using a nursing book to guide her through childbirth. The baby is a girl, and she names her Marie. 4 years later, Marie is now older, and Sara is pregnant again. Don has provided them with some basic necessities, such as a table, cupboards, a mattress, etc., etc. Sara asks him to release them, but he gets mad at her and leaves. Later, he gets them a TV as a Christmas present.
This is gonna be our window to the outside.
Upstairs, Renee is still grieving on Sara not ever believing that she may have ran away. She asks Dawn if she could hire a private investigator, to which he gets mad again and of course refuses. 7 years later, Sara has given birth to a boy named Michael. Amy gets outside of the house to find Chris still asking about Sara. When Amy tells him that they haven't heard anything about her, Chris tells her that Dawn told him that Sara ran away with Steve.
Steve?
Amy then tells him everything about Dawn and that there's no one such as Steve and that she thinks that Dawn might have done something to her. Later, Renee confronts Dawn about Steve and accuses him of doing something to Sara, and again, he gets mad. Renee tells him that she's gonna get a job and hire a private investigator herself. They both fight and Dawn drops his keys. Amy picks up the keys and sneaks to the basement, knowing that he spends too much time there. She tries to look for anything, only to get caught by Dawn. He aggressively takes the keys and makes her leave. Sara has given birth to another boy and names him Thomas. This time, Sara successfully convinces Dawn to leave baby Thomas on the doorstep with a note from her admitting that she ran away and got pregnant, asking Renee to take care of her newborn baby till she comes back for him. After Renee takes the baby, Dawn finds a smaller note Sara left underneath the baby, asking her mom to call the cops because she is trapped in the basement. Dawn takes the note to the basement, confronts Sara, and rapes her again, resulting to her being pregnant for the 4th time. 17 years later, while Sara and Marie are reading, they notice a leak in the ceiling from the heavy rain outside. Sara spends the whole night trying to dig their way out with a spoon. The hole she made leads to the front yard. Sara then flashes a light, signaling a neighbor for help. The neighbor immediately knocks on the front door and tells Dawn. Dawn goes downstairs and beats the shit out of the poor girl, causing her to miscarry. Dawn takes the dead baby and buries it in the house garden. 18 years later, Dawn fills Sara, Marie, and Michael in about Thomas, who is now older and plays baseball, and definitely lives a better life than Marie and Michael, causing them to demand to be let out and turning them against Sara, making them think that she's the one who can let them out. After Dawn leaves, Marie and Michael fight with Sara and start asking questions. Sara then tells them the truth about her and Dawn. The kids then start to panic, especially Marie, because she has trouble breathing and have an asthma attack due to limited air supply down there. Dawn gets fired from his job and goes back home one day and funnels carbon monoxide into the basement by keeping the car started, air vents with a hose, while Sara and the kids are sleeping. But a few moments later, Thomas walks in on Dawn in the garage and questions what his quote-unquote grandfather is up to. For a moment, it looks like Dawn might do something terrible, but he hesitates and backs down. Instead, he heads to the basement to check on Sara and the kids and finds them safe, still asleep. 20 years later, Marie's asthma attacks only get worse and she needs serious medical attention. Dawn walks in while Marie's still struggling to breathing and having an asthma attack on the floor. Sara begs Dawn to take them to a hospital immediately. Finally, Dawn agrees. Leaving Michael in the basement, Dawn rushes them to a hospital, driving as fast as he could. They arrive at the hospital.
Not a word.
The doctors try their best to save Marie. As Dawn and Sara wait in the reception, a doctor comes and gives Dawn a paper to fill about Marie's medical history and his contact information. Sara spills water on the paper, and while Dawn is getting a new form, Sara makes her way to get help immediately. She finds a cop and tells him and the doctor everything. Finally, the cop arrests Dawn and he is imprisoned for life. Marie wakes up and Sara tells her the good news. The police finally bring Michael out from the basement. Renee and Thomas stand in shock, not believing what happened. The old man's real name was Josef Fritzl. He lived in Austria with his wife Rosemary, and together they had 7 children. Among them was Elisabeth Fritzl, born in 1966, the 4th child. Josef began abusing Elisabeth when she was around 11 years old. Reports suggest she was the only one of her siblings he abused, and many believed that she was chosen because she resembled his own mother. Elisabeth had turned 18 and was preparing to move out and start a new life. Before she ever got the chance, her father lured her into the basement. Josef asked her to help him hold a door while he worked on it. Once she was in the cellar with her back turned, he comes up behind her and puts a cloth with chloroform on it over her mouth until she went unconscious. He then chained her to the wall in a hidden underground cellar he had been secretly constructing for years, a place no one else in the family knew existed. Elisabeth remained chained there for the first year of her captivity. When Elisabeth disappeared, Rosemary went to the police and filed a missing person report. But the following year, Josef presented authorities with a letter in Elisabeth's handwriting. The note claimed she had run away, was living with friends, and warned her family not to search for her. Over the years, Josef regularly visited the cellar at least 3 times a week, bringing food, supplies, and repeatedly raping Elisabeth. She remained imprisoned underground for 24 years. In the first 4 years, she was alone, done down there, completely isolated, and then over the next 20 years, she would have 7 of his children. 1 newborn died shortly after birth, and Josef secretly incinerated the body. The first 3 babies were raised in the cellar with Elisabeth, but the other 3 were raised upstairs with Josef and Rosemary as their grandparents. So Josef would put them in front of the door as if Elisabeth had left them for him and Rosemary to raise, kinda like the movie. The truth only began to unravel in April 2008 when Elisabeth's eldest daughter, Kirsten, then 19, fell seriously ill. Elisabeth begged Josef to get medical help, and he finally agreed to take Kirsten to the hospital. Doctors quickly grew suspicious of her condition and background. The investigation that followed uncovered Elisabeth's horrifying reality. After 24 years in captivity, Elisabeth was finally freed, and Josef Fritzl was arrested. He was sentenced to life imprisonment, where he remains to this day.